So some time ago here on the channel I released a video in Fallout 4 regarding leveling up and getting your XP very quickly, even right at the start of the game, and it's a very successful video, a really well received video, and a ton of people found it very helpful. However, there were some valid points raised by people about not being able to use it because the caltrops in that video come from DLC, the Far Harbor DLC in particular, and a couple of comments actually recommended looking down a similar route but with different crafting options instead. So this video is adding on to that because that is still absolutely a valid way of leveling up and getting XP. I've just started playing Fallout 4 again. Yet another playthrough. I have no idea how many times now I've played through this game, but this is actually from, at the time of releasing this video at least, my latest playthrough. So you can see me using these methods in action. Now I do use that caltrop method in this video in my gameplay, but in particular I'm going to tell you about an additional thing which you do not need any DLC to do. Now most of that video applies here as well. For those who haven't watched it, essentially when you start playing the game, and chances are go down into Sanctuary from the vault and start looking around and opening up the crafting station, all that kind of stuff, just like I said in that other video, the number one thing that I would recommend that you should do is scrap everything. At least everything that you don't want to use in its existing form. Now, what I would recommend doing on top of that is actually once you've, scrapped everything in that little homestead, go to the Red Rocket truck stop right over the bridge. You can also get a little bit of loot off of a dead guy and a dog, and just to the left of them there's a sign and there's a couple of guns, I think it is, in a bag. So you can pick up a little extra bit and bob here and there. Go to the Red Rocket truck stop, kill a few mole rats, there's a little cave nearby with some loot down there as well and a power core. But do the same thing there. Scrap everything. Then grab everything from the workbench into your inventory, and of course it will be a very slow walk back to Sanctuary, but it's only over the bridge so it doesn't take too long, and then add all of those things which you've collected together. Now at this point you've got a ton of basically everything you need to craft, but especially steel and wood. Now wood in particular is the gift that keeps on giving, and this is the reason why I'm making this video, because yes, the caltrops work very well and you can sell them on, but this method is purely for XP, not for caps. Because if you, as I have in this video, go into the shelving section of the building under, I don't think it's the decorations, I think it's like the second from the left in the menu, go to the shelves, and then there are a couple of different things that you can build which only require one crafting item. And there are two things that I would recommend looking into. One is the rubber floor mat under the floor decorations section, and the other is a wooden shelf. Now the wooden shelf only requires 2 units of wood. The rubber floor mat only requires 2 units of rubber, both of which you will have a hell of a lot of at the start of the game. Now rubber is a little bit more valuable than wood, but you can still afford to use a lot of it. Now the wood, on the other hand, you'll end up with somewhere around 2,000 units of wood between Red Rocket and especially Sanctuary, with a ton of trees etc. to delete. Now with that in mind, select that shelf, and as you'll see me do in this video, literally just spam the hell out of that wooden shelf. I usually fit it to the back of the house and just keep fitting shelf after shelf on top of itself. There's usually no limit to how many you can do, the only limit really is the size of the camp, and in the top right of the screen you will see that bar fill up. However, as long as you delete the shelves afterwards, you won't max it out. Now the part of this which is far more monotonous than my original tutorial is that you cannot sell the shelves. When you create those caltrops you can sell them for a huge amount of money when you've got a load of them, and that is what I tend to do in Diamond City. This method, as I said, is just for XP farming, but even just from essentially building shelves, hardly killing anything beyond a couple of mole rats, so not a huge amount of XP there, and then crafting and creating rubber floor mats, wooden shelves, and caltrops, you can get up to like level 16, 17 before really even starting the game. You're still up around Sanctuary, you haven't really discovered anything, That is a massive head start, and if you choose your perks wisely, it really does give you a massive leg up before you even get to Concord and proceed with the game. Now for me personally, I don't usually go that route anyway. I like to go to completely different parts of the map, but just to highlight how effective this method is, you can actually get the robot caravan distress signal, which of course only initiates at a certain level in the game, before leaving Red Rocket. So before even getting past that point, and technically you could probably do it without even going to Red Rocket, you can level up so much that you get the caravan distress signal from that DLC, which is crazy. And then, of course, technically if you want to, you can go straight past Concord, walk all the way down, rendezvous with Ada the robot, and get yourself a literal firepower ready robot companion right at the start of the game. So it's one hell of a way to get going by combining my existing recommendation if you do have the Far Harbor DLC, but even if you don't, you do have the rubber mats, you do have the wooden shelves, and there are probably even other things that you can do if you want to. I would actually recommend looking into doing a couple of things ahead of the Freedom Calls mission, because of course, spoiler alert, you end up bringing those folks back, and you need to do a few things for them, like set up some guns, make them some beds, all that kind of stuff, and you can even use a ton of your crafting stuff to preemptively have all of that stuff built. You can find a number of things around the area, some of which I pointed out in that other video. There's gold laying around in a bunker, there's some wild moot fruits behind a house, there's even a bag of guns on the roof of one of the houses, so there is a ton to find, and if you haven't watched that other tutorial, I do touch on some of those things there, so definitely check that one out as well. If, though, you don't have the DLC, then this is the method for you. I would recommend combining this method with my Caltrops method, because then you can both level up ridiculously quickly, and the last crucial thing that I want to say, because of course you'll level up, and the point that I was going to say is you can also earn a lot of caps with the Caltrops, but the one thing I will say, you'll notice that I'm also deleting shelves. Now when you delete the shelves, you get some of the wood back, about half as much. And what you need to know about this particular method, and this applies to both the mats and the shelves, is that because it costs you 2 units to make each one, you will get half of your inventory lost every time you use it all. So in other words, if you have, let's say, 2,000 units of wood, and you create as many shelves as you can and then delete them all and start over, you'll go from 2,000 units to 1,000, then if you do the same thing again, you'll be down to 500, then to 250, then to 125, etc. So eventually you'll have nothing left, but if you keep doing that over and over and over, even further than I did, you can literally get up around like level 18 before even leaving Sanctuary, which is insane. So ultimately, give it a try. I hope you have a ton of fun with it, and of course it comes in very useful, even though you will come across some, well, probably slightly higher powered enemies when you do leave Sanctuary as well. But ultimately that's it for this vid. Of course, check out that other one if you haven't already, and until next time I'll see you then. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.